Welcome to this exclusive masterclass on transportation economics and traffic sciences. My name is Sumit Rai. I'm a father of two daughters, husband to a foodpreneur, German higher education expert, an international certified career coach, and a founder of EU Gateway, a career advisory and higher education management company, helping students and graduates to pick right education and careers abroad. I will be your host for the evening, and I would be joined by speakers from TU Dresden in a short while from now. Let's move on. Okay, what I said is my short introduction, but if you like to know more about myself, I have a 15 years of educational experience. I'm an MBA from Germany, class of 2006, and since then I have a lot of stints done with German companies, right from different universities to beverage companies. Followed it up with founding new companies in India, and then starting up EU Gateway in the year 2016. I specialize in market research, market entry requirements, sales, business development, business setup, operations, and marketing as well. And I've been advising and mentoring a lot of students. Probably you would have groomed more than 1,000 students in the last 15 years of my career, and they are all well placed and established in different parts of Europe and the US. So this is a short introduction about me and why you are here to listen and why you should follow what I'm trying to speak, because what I tell you today is a direct experience what I had in the year 2004-5 when I did my MBA from Germany from a public university, and what experiences I had. This is what I'm going to share with you today in this presentation. Some rules to follow. Please do take notes. Important topics are discussed. Important timelines are shared. Website links as well are shared. So make sure that you have a pen and paper with you, and you can make proper notes, which would be helpful for you in deciding, your next step or strategy while you make applications. Be respectful while communicating. Please do not put questions and answers which create nuisance for others or for the presentation in general. So please make sure that you put relevant questions, you ask relevant information, which is the part of this overall presentation today. Keep your mic on mute unless you are asked to speak, but I'm bending a rule a bit in terms of keeping your camera on. We want to see you whom we are communicating today. It would be very nice that you can keep your cameras on today, so that it looks like more of an interactive session than than a monologue where you see me and I keep on speaking. Yeah. And then lastly would be some engagement which we will do with you. Just try to be communicative in those engagement topics, and I think you would have a fantastic learning by the end of this masterclass. Okay, today's agenda in brief, we're going to touch why education in Germany. So I'll let you know. Probably you have an idea, but then I'll give you some key factors why you should consider Germany as your study destination. We'll share some student statistics concerning international students studying in Germany. Then we will move on to importance of transport and sustainability, which would be covered by Professor Regine Gericke, who is our guest speaker from Germany, followed by another interesting topic on transport and economy, which would be presented by Professor Georg Hitze. He is also joining us from Dresden live, and then he will also talk about transportation economics program a little bit. Then we'll go into a fireside question and answers with our experts, and then in the end we open a Q&A session with our students and experts. So that's where I said that if you have questions, you can either put it in a comment box or you can keep it for the end. My colleague will collate all this and they will all be answered one by one at the end of the presentation. Okay, before we continue, I think we want to do a short activity with you. This is just 3-minute activity. My colleague is right now going to put links for our entire social media handle, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, and WhatsApp. We want you to join these groups, and then as soon as you join it, please put in the comment box T5. This means that you are done with all of these 5, following us and joining us. Why we want you to follow this, and why we encourage you to be a part of this community, because there are a lot of learning, a lot of exciting information which we keep on sharing across these platforms, and it would be very, very interesting for you to become a part of this this small community, this group, and get maximum learning out of this. So we wait for a couple of minutes, and we want to see you in your comment box typing D5 once you have followed across all the channels. And I'm checking who all are typing D5, and we would know in a short while. So thank you, Adit. Thank you, Sakshi. So all the links have been put here. Go on to our YouTube channel, our Instagram, our private FB group, where a lot of information being shared, videos being shared on different topics. And I think it is very interesting for you to be a part of this small community. Okay, Karthik, Hemant, Shubhangi, Kamil. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Janvi, Nikhil, thank you. Thank you. Excellent, Aniket. Thank you. If you face any issue, just put up a question or just unmute your speaker and ask directly. We would address it right away. Just unmute yourself and ask the question if you have regarding not able to reach to these handles. Thank you, Vivek. Okay, we are waiting. Last minute, we are waiting. Go on. Go on. We are monitoring it live. Our colleagues are monitoring it live. Who all have joined in? Who all have signed? Go in there. Just check all these handles. It's all in your phone, and subscribe to our channels and like to our Facebook community and WhatsApp group. Thank you, Subhash. Thank you, Shoni. Fantastic. I'm happy to see a lot of people joined in today, taking time out from their Friday evening and has come to listen about this transportation and urban mobility opportunity for them in Germany. Thank you so much. Thank you for tapping in. For those who have joined in, good. For those who are still doing it, Pura will again put up a link here in the message so that you don't miss out on the message, and then you can continue to join all these handles while we continue with our presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move on. So yes, why study in Germany? I think a lot of people have a very clear understanding why they want to come to Germany for studies, because of its top quality of education, of its research output, and of course the most important factor is that education in Germany is free, not only for national and domestic students, but for international students as well. And this is a very, very attractive proposition for a lot of students who want to come to Germany for study, apart from the quality and the research which is outstanding. Yeah. So top ranked university in Germany. Germany has several top ranked institutions across academic and student ranking. This means that you have a lot of fun and get the best of academic studies at the same time. Yeah. if you go through various rankings, international rankings like the QS ranking, the Times Higher Education ranking, or the FT ranking, you would find a lot of German universities represented among in the top 50 category, and in some categories they are even among the top 10 with respect to the research output, with respect to the particular program which has been taught by German universities, public as well as a private level. So when you are coming to Germany, you can only think and talk about quality and the best research opportunities which you could get, and that is why people decide to come to Germany, and that is why I decided to come to Germany 15 years back. Things were totally different 15 years back than what they are right now, but I think the Germany continues to attract many international students and offers great opportunity for the people who believe in the education system in Germany. Free public universities, that's what I just said. Some universities, some states have started to charge low tuition fees because they've been mandated by the federal government to charge a small amount of fees to international students. But largely speaking, most of the German universities still remain tuition free, which continues to make an attractive proposition for a lot of students to join. It is not easy to join public university because of their strict eligibility criteria. But if you follow that criteria, if you are eligible, then I think you actually get education for free at the best public universities in Germany. Just touched about it, top quality. German research is highly appreciated internationally, particularly in the fields of medicine and engineering. So I give you a classic anecdote. When I came to Germany 15 years back, and when I was doing my application back then, people were kind of surprised to know that why you go to Germany to do an MBA, because back then nobody actually knew in India that you can come to Germany to study MBA or management courses, because Germany has traditionally been the domain for engineering studies, that the best engineers are produced in Germany, the best researchers are from Germany, and people go to Germany who have an engineering background. I didn't have an engineering background. I was a plain computer graduate, and then I applied for an MBA program, and it was really surprising for a lot of people to go for a management, that I come for a management program in Germany. But this also made others believe, this was also my belief, that you have engineers, you have medicines, but you also have big companies and firms in Germany who needs managers, who needs people who would run these companies, who go out and do the sales, who make international sales. So you would definitely need people from a qualification point of view, that they can manage and run businesses. And that was the belief I had 15 years back, that hey, come on, there has to be studies, there has to be an MBA, there has to be a management, and that has to be appreciated as well. And this is what I did back then, and I do not regret even a single day today that my decision came out really clean and wonderful, and it has done some great things for me in career, academically and professionally. So yes, that is why Germany stands out in quality for education. Another large factor why a lot of international students pick Germany as a destination is the tremendous number of scholarships which are present for international students. These scholarships are available with the universities, as well as there are a lot of foundations. I can probably name a few, but then there are close to 100 plus foundations in Germany who are funding international students, international studies at a various level. It is only that your program, your university should either have a cooperation with these foundations, or your program qualifies to get a funding from that particular organization, from that particular we call it Stiftung institute, where either your fees get subsidized or partially subsidized, or your living expenses gets fully subsidized. So these are various opportunities. So sometimes it is possible for a student to study totally free, not even paying for living expenses. And on top of that, if you are a PhD or a researcher, you actually get stipend. And this once again makes it very attractive for a lot of international students to come to Germany, or why to pick Germany as a study place. Okay, just few names for a private sponsored scholarship. This is Heinrich Boll Foundation, Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, scholarship by a foundation. Just three, we just named three. There are, as I said, more than 100 foundations available. You just need to find the right program and then check with the foundation whether this program qualifies to get a scholarship for you. And sometimes, so most of the times, we have an international department at public and private universities who also assist you in approaching these foundations, or at least guiding you through to the right steps by which you can apply to these foundation programs. Sorry, scholarship programs. Yes, another aspect to come to Germany, affordable living cost. I think we as Indian, we can cover our cost between 500 to 600 euros per month, but the government has mandated that you should have at least 850 approximate euros to have a better living in Germany as a student. So this is a mandate by the government, which you follow, which you do it via blocked account. But in generally speaking, we as Indians, and if we are living especially in a smaller town, not in a big cities, then our cost of living comes down substantially. So for me, when I was in Germany 15 years back, I think I covered my entire expenses between 350 euros to 400 euros. I paid a little bit around 125 euros for my accommodation, and then everything else was virtually quite manageable. So 350 to 400 euros is what I spent back then, and this has in 15 years this has doubled by the government. But still, if you are in a small town, the inflation has never hit Germany, and prices remains low. You could still survive good within 500 euros per month. And that is why it becomes again an interesting proposition for a lot of Indian students to come to Germany. The next factor is high employment chances. A lot of universities not only promises, but there's a data, there is a fact to prove that most of the graduates who pass out from top quality German institutes, public or private, they get employed within 3 months of passing out of their university or passing out of their program. So there is a high employment chances for students, for international students, if they integrate themselves well with the culture. This means if you not only understand, but also have a good fluency in German language. This is a factor which you should keep in mind, because if you do not have a German language, then your chances to get employed becomes 10%. This is a given fact. I don't want to disappoint you, but then I want to increase your chances, and this is the only way you increase your chances, that you speak good level of German. Between B1 and B2 level, as per German guidelines, I think are good level for you to find a decent job. If you have a academic consistency throughout your profile, I think it becomes very easy to find an employment in Germany if you speak German. Okay, some data from the student point of view. Data is from 2018-19. We couldn't get a whole of exact data, but then around 400,000 international students are currently were there in 2018 and 19. So you can see there's a considerable amount of international students who come to Germany to study at various level, bachelor's, master's, or PhD. So there's an approximate growth of 30.9% over the last 5 years from 2014 to 19, and this continues to increase. Regarding Indian enrolled students from 2019 data, we have around 20,500 students who are currently enrolled at various universities and institutes in Germany. And this number continues to increase, because I think the latest report which we had from 2020 it still talks about close to 21,000 Indian students enrolled at various universities in Germany, and this number is really increasing. When I went back in 2004-5, the total number of students enrolled from India were close to 6,000. So you can see from 6,000 to 20,000. Yes, the growth has not been exponential, but then you will see that the slow and steady, and the numbers are rising, and the people are liking more and more to come to Germany. Yeah, international students from India and Germany have increased by 18% as I was just saying, and I think this number is impressive enough, and could also then let you know that it's still Germany is undiscoverable, and there's a lot to discover, and you have excellent chance and opportunity to come to Germany and make this place for your career. Yeah, the last sheet on statistics, around 37.6 international students in Germany are from bachelor's degree. Equivalent are from master's degree as well. The PhD percentage is little low, which is around 9%, because it is not easy to get into PhD programs in Germany, and there's a different structure for PhD. There are paid PhD, there are non-paid PhDs. So structured and non-structured PhD programs, sometimes it becomes difficult for people to find the right position to come to Germany for these programs, and that is why you see very less number of students can make it to these programs, and the rest are for other degree programs and other vocational trainings. Okay, now I will stop here, and now it's time to welcome our guest, Professor Regine Gericke and Dr. Georg Hirte. I'll give you a brief introduction about Professor Regine Gericke, because she joined us from Dresden for the first time. Professor Regine Gericke, welcome to this masterclass. Professor Gericke is the head of the chair of integrated transport planning and traffic engineering at Technical University Dresden. Before joining Technical University Dresden, Professor Gericke chaired the Institute for Transport Studies at the University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences in Vienna. Professor Gericke did her PhD from TU Dresden in the field of modeling transport and its environmental effects. And from 2008, she has been a professor at TU Dresden and been involved in a lot of different projects. Her research interest includes various aspects of transport planning, safety and traffic engineering, including modeling, empirical research, and holistic approaches to evaluating sustainable mobility. And she is the right person today here to present different topics about sustainable transport and urban mobility. I welcome you, Professor Gericke, with open heart, and I will leave the mic with you in 2 minutes after I just introduce Professor Gericke, and then the platform would be yours to take us through for the next 10-15 minutes. A bit about Professor Georg Hirte. Professor Hirte is a managing director of the Institute of Transportation and Economics, and he's a dean of study fields in transportation economics at TU Dresden, and he has already been with us for several presentations in the past series. And we welcome you again, Professor Georg Hirte, and we look forward to interesting session presented by you today as well. Thank you so much, and I leave Professor Gericke to start her talk. Welcome once again.
Welcome also from my side.
I'll stop my screen share, and Professor Gericke, you can share your screen.
Yeah, okay.
You can hear us, Professor? We can't hear you, Professor Gericke.
I just need to check
you probably need to connect with your audio. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me? No?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe
so
some...
everybody...
We can hear you, ma'am.
So it seems like everybody can hear me except view.
Right, perfect, perfect. Now it works. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. It is all,
Okay.
yes. It is all right.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect.
Then let's check again how I organize my screen sharing. So now you should see it. Does
Yes,
it work?
yes, works. Perfect.
Yeah, okay, great. So welcome everybody from my side. It's my great pleasure to be here with you on Friday evening, Friday afternoon in Germany, and to talk to you about the relevance of transport and sustainability. So why do I think that transport matters? What challenges and opportunities we have in this area, and what solutions do we also have, and why I think it might be interesting to learn more about this topic. So let's start with the relevance of transport in general, and then on the next slide, move on to the relevance of urban transport. So transport is around all the time. It is an inherent dimension of human beings. So as soon as we are babies and born, we want to move until our next day and until our last day in life. This is the social dimension, the third one here. Transport and accessibility are the core prerequisite for participation in social life. So we want to move as persons, and we want to participate, we want to interact with other persons, we want to communicate, we want to be part of life, we want to, or we need to move to carry out activities that we cannot carry out on site. So this is the social dimension of transport, and this leads to that we all are experts in transport. Yeah, all of you move all the day, more or less 3.4 trips you have, would be my best guess. And you all are experts in transport, but you are experts in the usage of transport systems. What you might learn in Dresden is then to become experts in shaping transport systems. So this is a social dimension. Transport also matters for the economic dimension. This will be elaborated on by Georg Hütte later on in more detail. So transport is a major driver for employment, income, economic development on the macroeconomic level. So efficient transport systems are one prerequisite for successful economic development. And on the microeconomic level, transport is a significant component for companies, for the costs, for producing and distributing goods, and of course also for us as consumers. And then there's the environmental dimension. So transport is a major emitter of air pollutants, noise, greenhouse gas emissions, needs space in urban areas particularly. So it matters also because it's a problem for us in various respects. So this is about transport in general, and now about urban transport. So I see two reasons why particularly urban transport matters. So the first one is the share of our urban population worldwide is high and is quite dynamically increasing. So I have here put three numbers, 1980. Then the share of population in urban areas was 39% in 2015. It was already 54%, and it's forecasted for 2050 to be 66% of the population living in urban areas. So this is the first reason why I think that urban transport matters, and two pictures here to illustrate this fact, where urbanization matters, particularly in India and cities with the highest growth rates worldwide. So you see again, Indian cities here, top ranked among this. And the second reason I see why particularly urban transport matters is that challenges and opportunities are most visible, most urgent in urban areas. So you have the high densities that lead to excellent opportunities to offer high capacity transport services. At the same time, you have limited space, you have noise, air pollution, all these problems, particularly in urban areas. Now let's have a look at the challenges in the first step and then at the opportunities in transport. And I have just listed the challenges here that I see. So the first challenge is to actually provide access to relevant destinations for all persons in all areas, be it young persons, kids, old persons, healthy persons, persons with reduced mobilities, for passengers and goods. This is a major issue in transport. Safety is an issue. I will show a slide on this because I think this is really a major challenge that we face. Environmental effects I have already mentioned. So we have high greenhouse gas emissions in transport, and these are more stable than decreasing or even increasing in some areas worldwide. We have these problems of air pollution, noise, resource consumption in transport. Space scarcity is a major problem. So we need to have space for the pedestrians, for the cyclists, for goods and passengers, for parking, for public transport, for cars, for all the different things. And urban space, urban street space is limited. We have limited financial resources. Transport is costly investment and also maintaining transport systems. And then we have insufficient personnel capacity in the relevant institutions. And this is really a major challenge. So we are really we urgently need qualified staff in the different institutions. In Germany, I can say this for sure. And in other countries, I'm sure that this is the same situation. One slide on safety, because this is really a major problem. So this is here from the World Health Organization statistics that shows the development of deaths on the roads. So not the severe injuries, not the slight injuries, only the deaths on the roads. And you see the magnitudes in the different areas worldwide. And you see the development from 2000 to the year 2016. And you see the trends are stable or increasing. And this is really not what we want to see in transport. And we have the highest values and the most progressive development in Southeast Asia. On the other hand, we also have opportunities in transport. And the good news is that we know a lot of tools and instruments that help us managing the challenges that we face. And I have put here in the figure the so-called time development cycle of the transport policy evolution cycle, as we called it, as we developed it in an EU project. So what you see here on the x-axis the time going, and on the y-axis you have on the one hand, daily car use, and you see over time that car use increases in the cities. And we have looked at 5 cities, particularly in this project. This was Berlin, Copenhagen, Paris, London, and Vienna in Europe. It was a European project. Then car use peaks and then it reduces. So all these cities managed to reduce car use, even though people get richer, even though they have more cars than before, they are better educated. So many determinants point into a direction of higher car use. They managed to reduce car use with all the positive effects that are related to this. And on the one hand, and on the other hand, you see the policy priorities, how these changed, and these also follow such a peak car development. So the emphasis was first on car mainly, then more on public transport, walking and cycling. And in the last stage 3, we called it, it was on quality of urban space and living quality. So this is just an example that we know a lot how to solve the challenges in transport and in urban transport. And we can apply a set of instruments. So we have established instruments, for instance, the coordination of urban and transport planning. You see here on the right-hand side, this finger plan from Copenhagen. So they have coordinated urban and transport planning. So they have agreed on these fingers. There's rail-based transport infrastructure on these fingers, and urban development mainly is directed to these fingers, so that when people move outside of the core city, they are only allowed to settle in these corridors, and this leads to really environmentally friendly model choices. Then we know that we need push and pull measures. So we need to support the transport modes that we want to see increased. This is public transport, walking, cycling. We also need to push the motorized individual transport, for instance, by increasing prices or reducing space for these transport modes. Then we have various innovative approaches that we can use. We have digital services that come up and that help us substantially. We have ITS solutions for traffic management and also for safety, automated transport, emerging technological development. It's all these sharing services, new vehicles. Just one pictures here, yeah, some pictures here on the slide. And what we found in our research is that cities follow various different paths for finding their solutions towards more environmentally friendly transport systems. So you have here again the create cities, and we have distinguished the different strategies between cities as a node, 24/7 cities as a place with particularly high quality of urban spaces, city as a service. And you see, as these different stages evolved in the different cities, and you see the colors here differing. So Copenhagen and Paris followed another path, and Berlin and London and Vienna. One vision that we follow in this respect is the concept of sustainable development. And this means development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own need. This is a concept that is followed, that is agreed on different political levels, and it can be translated into two key concepts. So the first key concept is a focus on human beings. So we as human beings are in the center of this goal of sustainable development, and our needs are constantly evolving. So whenever we satisfy need, and this is really the case in transport, then new needs arise. So whenever you provide a new opportunity to move faster, people will use it and they will develop new needs out of this. So sustainable development needs to be a constant process of monitoring and adjusting transport systems. And the second key concept is for all, so human needs should be satisfied for all generations today and in the future, for all regions and sectors. And this means that the limited resources can only use to a degree that allows future generations, other regions, other sectors to have enough resources that they also can help to contribute to need satisfaction. Translated to transport, sustainable transport can be understood as meeting mobility needs, providing access while limiting the negative effects of transport. I have already mentioned this. There's a broad consensus on this goal of sustainable development. You see here the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, as published by the UN. They have been approved in 2015 by all member states of the UN, and the time horizon is 2030, yeah, for which the goals are formulated, these Sustainable Development Goals. And you see here all the 17 goals, and you see these red lines around some of them. These are the ones that I think are most relevant for transport. And here I have highlighted some out of the many indicators that are behind these 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and you see lots of them are relevant for us in transport. For instance, here 3.6 by 2020 halves the number of global deaths and injuries from road traffic and accidents. So you have seen the development on the slide before. The goal is to halve the number of global deaths and injuries. So this is a long way to go, and we need everybody who is willing to contribute to this goal. And so you can go top down and look at each of these goals. There's a lot of things to do in transport to become actually sustainable transport. So summarizing, transport is key to successful societies and economies. We have major challenges and opportunities. And we at Dresden, you are more than welcome to come to us and to learn, to get to know the tools for shaping future transport systems and to develop these tools then further together with us, because in Dresden, we always do this jointly, teaching and researching, as Sumit has said this before. We teach and research in road, rail, air and water, passenger and freight, infrastructure, vehicles, operation, and so much more. And Georg will talk then more about the economic education that we have in Dresden. Thank you for your attention. You are muted, Sumit. Sumit, you are muted.
You are muted.
All right, sorry, I guess I was muted. So thank you so much, Professor Gericke, for an interesting insight into this transportation field. A lot of our audience in the past and even today possibly would have no idea other than transport means taking a bus from one point to point B and just reaching to their destination. But there's a lot which goes behind transportation. There's a lot of science which is into it, and today your small lecture helped us to understand there is that what you could do in transportation and how everything is being shaped around mobility. So thank you so much. It was wonderful to have you for this presentation. Now we welcome Professor Hete and with his talk, and over to you, Professor Hete.
Hello. Good
Welcome
evening.
back, as I would say.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to have you with us every alternate weekends or every weekends.
Yes, great. Okay. So I first also want to share my screen. I hope it works. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's there.
Okay. Yeah. So great. Welcome from me too. My task is to talk about transport, and the focus will be on the economic issues, because I'm working in this program on economics of transport or transportation economics. Okay, let me start. You already heard that if we think about cities, that these are places where we live, where we work, where we meet people, where we buy, exchange, or use goods and services from our place or from other places, where firms produce at specific locations, sell their products at different places, and buy intermediates also from different locations. So all our activities are related to places in some way. And the problem then is that space is heterogeneous, and in particular, space is scarce, as Regine Gericke told you already. In addition, we have the problem that to travel from one place to another one, we have to, there are some transport costs, we need time, we need monetary costs, we have some kind of security issues and so on. And therefore, there is a trade-off between proximity to be at the places we want to be at near the people we want to be, and the need to transport and to pay transport costs in some way. And that is the focus as an economist. So the economist view on cities is that cities are places where we can generate positive agglomeration effects, as we call it. This means that these are places where the firms, they can exploit these effects coming from a diversity of skills in the labor force at a city, from the proximity to other firms, where firms can learn something, can work with them together, from access to large local and even world markets. If you're in a city where you have ports and you have a good access to a specific part of the world, then access to administration, access to research institutions, and that's places of easier exchange of knowledge. And some of this has to do with transport or information technologies or infrastructure. These are also places where we people have better access to a variety of products and services, to the labor market, to public and health services, and so on. Again, this has to do with transport. And finally, cities are places where we observe economies of scale in transport, communication, or public services, meaning that it is cheaper to provide transport in cities than in other places. Now the question then from a research point of view is, what is needed to generate these positive agglomeration effects? We know we need a good supply of public services, police, fire protection, water, waste management, and so on. And in particular planning, we know that in many cities in India, for instance, planning is not so good. And good planning is very important. Then we need a good transport infrastructure. This is the main topic of in our faculty. This means transport must be reliable concerning goods and people, and it should be occurring at relatively low costs so that everybody can use a means of transport. Then we need a good communication infrastructure, high-speed internet, so on. We need good institutions for education. We need a good supply of land and energy. Size and location of a city matters. And further, the structure of firms that are present in the city matters. This concerns the size or the type of sectors the firm are working in, the number of firms, and their expenses for research and development. All this together is important and is required to generate the additional advantage cities may offer in relation to small cities or to rural areas. One problem then is that often in developing countries, cities are not able to produce these positive agglomeration effects. There's a lot of research on that. And one of the main reasons is that there's a lack of good infrastructure or good means of transport. So means of transport are an important thing to provide positive agglomeration effects that are needed to attract large firms or firms from other countries. In contrast, cities also generate a lot of negative agglomeration effects. You already heard we have the problem of the scarcity of land. We had often bad quality of public and health services on account of the overuse of these services. Often we have a bad quality of transport or communication systems. On the other side, we have these so-called externalities, which means a negative effect of cities or of transport on others. For instance, coming from the overuse of transport infrastructure that leads to congestion, from noise, pollution, often coming from cars, greenhouse gas emissions from cars, carbon emissions that coming from traveling, from cooling or heating. Then we have a lot of accidents, as you already heard, and we have this so-called problem of sprawl, that cities sprawl into the surrounding areas and there reduce the free land and the level of biodiversity which we need for sustainable development. And this is the field for transportation economics, to look at the positive side and the negative side of transport. And therefore, transportation economics studies the relevance of transport for a society, or if you focus on cities, for a city. We study the social costs of transport These are not only monetary, but also social costs, positive and negative effect, the economic consequences of investment in transport on the economic effects of pricing transport or regulating transport. And we study instruments that can be used to solve transport-related problems. And thereby we consider the trade-offs with environmental health, land markets, and labor markets. We also study the ways firms organize themselves. For instance, if you think about logistics that is needed for organizing the production network in a very efficient way. And to study all these issues, what you need is you need some level of economic theory, you need an understanding of empirical and simulation methods, and you should be able to exploit data. And all this is needed to study transport relevant issues concerning urban transport. I will present you three short examples to give you I would say, a flavor of what we are doing. The first is the question, shall urban transport be subsidized? This is relevant because transport is actually subsidized in most countries because many people cannot afford to use transport. I have read something about the project in Mumbai. Their negative side is that the pedestrians and the people who use bicycles are left out of this huge infrastructure investment. In Europe, we have the discussion of a cost-free or cheap public transport system, for instance. We studied this by applying a spatial computable general equilibrium model that consists of economic models where we have land, labor markets, a land use model with location decision of people and firms, and a transport model where we have traffic and congestion and emissions included. We did these simulations for a prototype of a German city with a population of about 1.5 million people. And what we find was so far that subsidies to car transport or even the expansion of the capacity of roads are inefficient from an economic point of view. They provide access to transport, but on account of the high costs, it is inefficient. But subsidy on public transport is efficient provided it is financed by a specific type of taxes. In our case, these are taxes on fuels. Then strong redistribution effects occur in favor of low-income groups, and we have subsidies that lead to sprawl of cities and to additional emissions. We always generate additional transport. This has a positive effect on account of better access to activities, but it has a negative effect on account of more emissions. And therefore, subsidizing public transport is better than subsidizing car transport. Another study we did is the question, shall electric vehicles be subsidized? You know, many countries now start to change their, want to transform to a system with only electric vehicles. China, the European Union. In European Union, we have Germany or Norway as another country. All these countries try to switch totally to electric cars. We also studied this in such kind of model. We can call this an extended cost-benefit analysis. And the results show that whether the subsidies shall be paid depend on the question whether electric vehicles are actually able to reduce externalities. If you need coal to produce energy, then emissions increase when we switch to electric cars. So it is needed that we don't produce electric energy or power by carbon, with a lot of carbon emissions. Then the problem of subsidies is that it will lower overall transport costs, not increase, lower must. And this leads to more congestion. And then we also have the problem that we have to think about financing the subsidy. Financing a subsidy always imposes cost on the society. And this, in addition, lowers the positive effects of this subsidy. And of course, we have redistribution effects via land markets or taxes. It depends on who pays for the subsidy and who in the end benefits from the subsidy. And finally, the result is that electric power shall be taxed rather than subsidized. This is the case for Germany and maybe for other industrial countries. And the last example is current research financed by the German Research Foundation. It is on transport and autonomous vehicles. We try to study the impact of transport policy on transport in a world with autonomous cars. You know, this is a coming technology. We study the question of parking. What is the effect of parking fees? And for instance, usually cars have to park at the end. Autonomous cars don't have to park, and therefore parking fees is not a way to affect transport. And the second is, we did look at mobile work. The idea is that future autonomous cars will supply some kind of mobile office, and this will help firms to reduce their office costs. And we study on the look at the consequences of this, whether this may be really a huge effect or not. In addition, there are other transport research, urban transport research at TU Dresden. There's studies on the role of new technologies in urban transport, automated autonomous driving. We will also start to look on urban air mobility. We have projects on data generation with generation of data for 18 German cities, which is happening at the chair or occurring at the chair of Gine Gericke. We have looked at a lot of business models with new transport systems, bike sharing in Copenhagen, mobile production facilities, and we also study a lot of health, noise, safety, sustainability, congestion, all these more negative effects of transport. Okay, so this is a short view on what transportation economics is about and what we are doing concerning transport in cities. You shall remember or take away that urban transport matters for exploiting agglomeration advantages, and this is important for firms to locate in specific cities, in particular for international firms. We know that urban transport causes negative agglomeration effects. It is related to land use in the economy, so we have also to consider land use and location decisions, and it is related to prices and costs, and they matter for all decisions concerning locations and transport. And the question is, how can we study urban transport? We can study urban transport only if we look at the full urban context, which means we have to think about people, firms, land use, the economy, not only at traffic. And finally, we need good data and very good quantitative methods to do this in a successful way. Okay, that's for me. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Gorg. I think the audience now gets even a deeper insight with respect to the economics involved in urban mobility and transportation, and what are the factors which impacts the decision of various government in terms of planning and policy intervention regarding their state, their city, or in fact their country, if it has to be at a national level decision. But yes, I think these inputs further help our students to understand what are the opportunities they could look at if they get deeper into this topic of transportation sciences, urban mobility, and what kind of excellent research opportunities available for them in this particular field of transportation sciences. So thank you so much for this insight. And this also takes us to the next topic, where we want you to help us understand a bit on transportation economics as a study program, as a master's program, which we have at TU Dresden, which has been offered this intake in English language. And our students who are participating today are keen to know how they could be a part of this transportation economics master's program. So a little bit of insight in this topic would certainly help them to understand. Professor Gericke, over to you.
I think that's me again.
Yeah, Georg, this is you again. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I share my screen again. So can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm the dean for this program on transportation economics at the TU Dresden. And we already told you why transportation economics is an issue. We have a lot of challenges: technological development, business models, data. It is important for society. And what we offer you in this program is these scientific methods and tools that you need for understanding, processing, and solving all these challenges we talked about. And in addition, you will get a lot of soft skills that are required for you to successfully work and make careers in firms and institutions, not only in Germany, but in the EU or all over in the world, and in particular in firms that are facing these or equivalent challenges. This program is a full-time 2-year program. The degree is a Master of Science. We expect about 30 students. The language we teach is, in which we teach is English. We have a small tuition fee. This is about 300 euro per term, and that includes free access to public transport in whole Saxony, the whole region around Dresden. The courses are, at least for 1 year, you have to stay at TU Dresden to attend courses here. I will tell you more about that. And this system, or this program, is accredited within the German national accreditation system. You can find more at the links you can see here, tud.de, and so on. And you also can contact me under this given email. The structure of the program is the following. In the first, we have 4 terms. This is the first year here. And we have in the first year obligatory modules, so that deliver you with the basic you need, the basic methods and theory concepts you need to understand and these methods, and to be able to work with the methods you need for studying transportation economics. In the second year, you have to specialize in 2 out of 5 offered specialization groups. And in addition, in both terms, you can choose additional modules coming from business administration, management, from economics, from business informatics, from engineering, from transport planning, from transport psychology, and so on. Then the third term and the fourth term, these are 2 terms you don't have to be at Dresden, only from time to time, because the third term is a so-called mobility window. There you can go to another university in India, in another country, or in Germany, or you can stay at Dresden, at TU Dresden. And here you have to write your research task from one of your specialization group. This is I would say, some kind of a thesis you write. And in addition, you can acquire some additional modules. This you can get at another university or at TU Dresden. Instead of these additional modules, you can decide to make a vocational internship in any firm in the world. And if you decide to go to another place in Dresden, you can write your research task also at another place. I had a student who went to Boston in the US and wrote his research tasks there, and we had contact by Skype or whatever. And in the last term, you have to write a master thesis. you can do it at any place you want, and you have to be at Dresden, I think, 1 or 2 times. So you can organize it in a, I think, for you very convenient way. Okay, what are the specialization groups? We offer you a specialization in computational logistics. This is a mathematical models and simulation models in the field of operations research that you need to solve issues of logistics or public transports, production of services. Then we offer you a course in transportation policy, where we use mainly economic theory to evaluate policy intervention in transport. You learn about cost-benefit analysis, the impact of regulation or transport taxes or prices. Then the third field is spatial and environmental economics, where we apply microeconomics, econometrics, and simulation studies to study problems of transport, environmental economics, or the spatial economy in this urban context I talked about. The fourth is statistics, where you learn methods of multivariate statistics and computational statistics that then are applied to study transport-related real-world phenomena. And finally, we have data analytics in transport, where you get to know computational methods needed to understand data and solve complex transport-related decision problems, usually with a huge amount of data. And you can think about specializing. If you are interested in data science, you can choose the last two. If you're interested more in business and logistics, you can choose the first one and the last one. For instance, if you are interested more in economics and society, you can choose the second and the third one. And you can add additional courses to qualify even more in that field. So that's the program, and we have an aptitude procedure here. You have to graduate, you need a graduation in one of the following fields: economics, business, statistics, transport sciences, or MINT, mass information technology, natural sciences, technology fields like engineering. And to apply, you have to at least finish at least 80% of the current program. You need a good English knowledge. We expect a B2 of the European system level. It is with ELTS 5.5 or TOEFL, it is 80 points. And then you need 60 credits in the 3 fields: economics, business administration, or quantitative methods, which is mathematics, statistics, OR, programming, data analytics, and so on. So the exact distribution of these points you can read in the documents or on the website. The idea is you shall have at least 15 points or at least 10 points in economics, 5 in business administration, if you have more than 30 points in quantitative methods. Otherwise, you shall have 15 points in each of these fields. Okay, so let us think about you be successful. And then the question is, what about the labor market? We have a strong demand on the labor markets, I think now for more than 10 or 15 years. Even now in the Corona epidemic, all of our students get a very fast, very good paid job. And our students, they work in all kinds of firms. You can think in public institutions, in railway firms, car producers, airports, logistics firms, IT firms, energy firms, in consulting. And they work there as economists, senior researchers, professors, business executives, consultants, data scientists, even not in the field of transport or traffic-related firms. So the chances are really good. And there was a question before that someone asked whether how long you will need to get a job. Usually you get a job right away after finishing or graduation. It's not a problem. For the application procedure, you have to apply via UniAssist, and in addition, send a printout of all your application form along with your complete and certified application documents. There's a small processing fee, and the deadline is the end of May. And the decision letter you get, I hope we are faster, I think early in July, mid or end of August is absolutely the last date, but I expect that we are finished with the decision at latest on the 15th of July. Okay, so let me say we are looking for you if you are determined to master these quantitative and economic methods that you need to understand and solve transport-related issues for firms or the society. If you're open-minded and are able to work independently, you will see in Germany we expect that you're very independent working, even though we offer a lot of projects where you work in teams together with others. And therefore, if you are also interested in working in teams, we offer you that, and in teams with students from Germany, from other European countries or other countries in the world, then you are right at our place, and we are looking forward to meet you in Dresden. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hitt, for once again presenting us this wonderful program and opportunity for our students to have a closer look at transportation economics and how they could be a part of this program starting this fall in Germany. We now move on to our quick fireside chat with Professor Gericke and Professor Hitte regarding few questions which we have, and then we move on to answering general question and answers of our audience. So my first question is for Professor Gericke. In one of our in your presentation, in one of the slides, Professor Gericke, you didn't show that the maximum number of deaths on road is in Southeast Asia, and as compared to the developed countries over the period of last 20 years, as the slide show. What is the major reason why Southeast Asia is still not able to adopt these necessary requirements in urban mobility and technology, and why we, as let's say in India, we are still like getting up to this idea, okay, what this urban mobility is all about, why we are so why this entire region is still being not progressed in this direction as compared to Europe, which we talked about, so much of interesting research, Denmark, Copenhagen and everything, US and every other country has adopted, but it seems like Southeast Asia has been widely neglected to work on this side of their policy. Maybe something you could add on.
The major reason behind this development is growth in motorized transport. So this is really the major reason behind this development. And then there are the vulnerable road users. So many pedestrians and cyclists or users of other types of micro-mobility vehicles are in the streets and affected by this growing motorized transport. So this is the major reason behind this, and this is not specific in India, but happens also in other countries, and leads to also more moderate goals in transport safety worldwide compared to Europe or to the US. So we try to reach Vision Zero, or we try to halve serious injuries and deaths until currently 2030, whereas on the global level, the goal is to halve road deaths, but not until a baseline in the past, but compared to projected deaths on the roads. Do you understand the difference? So the goals are more moderate worldwide because we have this problem of growing motorized transport worldwide. So one says we want to halve transport deaths in transport until 2030, but not compared to, let's say, 2010, but compared to 2030 business as usual.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is really a challenge, and the goals are more moderate on a worldwide level, but this does not mean that this is good to have such moderate goals. Of course, this is more feasible, yeah, than being too ambitious, and then the ambitious goals are not reached. This makes also not sense, yeah. But the final goal should be to substantially reduce, yeah, these numbers and to substantially improve traffic safety. And this is why we need these experts, yeah, helping with this and designing safe transport systems, also for the vulnerable road users, for the pedestrians, the cyclists, and all these other kind of users.
Okay. Okay, I understood the difference that it has to be moderated at a global level. This is what I understand, and that's where Southeast Asia is a bit slow to pick this up as compared to other developed countries. This is what I could understand. But I think that is where I think it becomes even more interesting for people, for graduates, for students who can actually take this topic as a study in this region, and can really come up with thoughts and policy interventions, with ideas which they can bring it back to the government to look at implementing a small cluster, and after seeing the success of this small cluster, can grow it to a large scale, or to bring it to a level of a national implementation. But then it has to start from small, and then the people from a particular country would be a key factor who would take this forward to the normal people and to the government in general, to make it possible. I think this is where then our program, our transportation science program at TU Dresden, which is now offered for the international audience, makes sense at this time, that people are largely looking at uh, mobility, urban mobility, and how we can make it more accessible, as you rightly said, and care about the vulnerable, which are pedestrians, which are cyclists, which are people who would otherwise have a different modes of mobility. So totally agree with and understand on what you just mentioned. Thank you so much for this answer, Professor Gericke. My next question is to Professor Hete. So, Professor, is there a direct window for the students who have done this master's in transportation economics to move into a PhD or a research within TU Dresden? Do they get any advantage?
Yeah, you can, but this depends on the positions we have. So you have to apply, and we don't have a huge program for PhD students, but we have PhD students at the different chairs, and some are linked to some graduate program, PhD program. So there are opportunities, but you cannot be sure, of course. There's a huge competition on that, but nonetheless, it's generally possible.
Okay. Okay, so yes, it does. It is possible, but then you got to apply, I think, and come up with your interesting research topic. What I see. My next question probably the last question for the first side to Professor Gericke. This is regarding the cooperation in South East Asian market with respect to urban mobility and transportation sciences. Maybe you can give us some insight regarding what kind of work is happening. Maybe if it's a pilot project, maybe it's if it's at an initial stage. But then if it is happening in Southeast Asia, what kind of project is being currently dealt with, and what kind of who is behind those projects? Are there local bodies? So, for example, I'm trying to understand this from the Indian point of view, that we just have an agreement with IIT Madras to develop this. Similarly, if there's something more which is happening in neighboring countries like Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, where there's also a chaos of urban mobility, and whether TU Dresden in general is active in this area as well.
I'm not sure whether I well understood whether you focus on actual on projects for shaping transport systems or in education. So we have both running. So we have projects in education. For instance, with Sri Lanka, we have a collaboration where we work on their university education and transport, develop with them and update their courses and develop joint student projects. And we have also projects running really shaping transport systems. And there, of course, also industry partners are particularly active. Big companies such as Siemens, yeah, from really major transport interventions such as metro, yeah, or things like this, public transport systems, down to really small activities. So I think German institutions are really active, and we as TU Dresden have research projects and collaborations. We also have interns from India in our group. So students from Indian universities doing their master's thesis only. So they study in India, but do their master's thesis also based on a DAAD project with us. So all kind of collaboration, and this is really good and appreciated.
Perfect. So to sum it up, I think there's a lot happening in and around. People just need to understand and develop the interest in this particular area, and they will find the pockets that a lot of interesting research and development happening, and they could also be a part of this let's say of this urban mobility story in their locality, in their area, in their region. So thank you so much, Professor Gericke, for your interesting insight, because this was, we wanted to bring this to our audience for their general understanding and to develop their further interest, how they can be a part of this entire field, of this entire spectrum by joining, let us say, this master's program in transportation economics. Thank you so much. I think this has been very insightful session. And now we will take questions from the audience. There's a lot which has been posted here. One by one, we will take these questions, and which has been, I think, Professor Hitte is already answering few of them, and few we will now start taking, and then help students to understand what they would like to know. The order of the question would be, the first is to understand if you have any topic to know related to transportation sciences or your eligibility with respect to this topic. Please post your questions on this topic first, followed by your general questions. So the order of questioning would be like this: that first related to master's program in transportation economics, and then followed by your general questions which you would like to know. Okay, there's one question directed to Professor Hitte from Thama Zirasan. I can study as data analyst and transportation. Professor Hitte?
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yes, you can, of course.
Okay.
I don't understand fully this question because
he just wrote that I'm looking limited seats to have global. Yeah. Okay, he did the economics and business subjects and got 60% in his bachelor's.
Yeah.
So that's where he's coming. He has 60% in his bachelor's. Can he be studying? So data analyst. So data is a part of the program which you can definitely study,
Yes.
and then be in a transportation field. But does he qualify with 60%?
What is 60%? His course or
his
number
score.
of courses he did?
No, his score. His graduation score.
Yeah, it depends on the competition. Yes. I think we have about 10 or 15 places for students from outside of the European Union. So it depends on the number of applicants and the quality of or the scores others have. Okay. But it can happen, yes.
It can happen, gentlemen. There's another question from Surya.
I think the chances are not so bad because we just started with this program. So it is not so well known in the world. Therefore, I think the number of applicants is not so high. And so maybe the chances are not so bad.
Yeah, so you can definitely look forward to apply to this program. There is another question from Surya. He says, can an electrical engineering guy sustain in urban mobility? If so, what the skill she need to possess?
Yes, he can, provided he has some courses in economics or business.
Okay.
So that he can get access. But if he has access, he can be successful because we offer these obligatory courses in the first term, so that everybody gets a good enough level in economics, business, and these quantitative methods.
Okay. There's another question from Shubhangi. She has bachelor's in architecture. Can she study this field?
Yeah, I've already answered. I think it's not easy. It's not among the bachelors we have defined as requirement, but nonetheless, if there are enough courses in economics, business, and quantitative methods, it might be possible. I've told him or her, I don't know, to write me an email with the courses so that I can look at it.
Perfect. Here you go, Shubhangi. The subject needs to be checked. Okay. Adit asking, what is the scope of jobs in transportation economics?
Sorry. Yes, we have a lot of jobs. Yeah, it's no problem. Also, I don't know any student who had a problem in the last years in the labor market.
There are a couple of questions, Professor, today asking for waiver of English language test. If they have done their schooling and graduation in English language, can they get an IELTS waiver? I've been facing this every day.
So if the instruction was in English, the bachelor, then I think it's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're giving a good news to a lot of students here. They don't need an IELTS if they have a bachelor's in English. And
you can be sure if you have an IELTS, you can be sure. Yeah, we only have to tick it and say okay. But in the other cases, we have to think about it.
So 50-50, yes.
But nonetheless, if you have studied in an English program, this should not be any problem.
That should not be. And Uni Assist would not create an issue here because sometimes they turn the applications directly.
No, that's not. This decision is made by us.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
So the requirement concerning former courses and English is our decision.
Perfect. So don't worry about Uni Assist. They are just a medium, and they will pass the application to
yes.
Professor Hete, and then it will be taken care. There's another question from Nikhil. He has done bachelor's in civil engineering with the 8.1 CGPA, but he had some 3 backlogs in his degree, and his graduation was extended by a year. He also has 7.5 in IELTS, and he has some work experience as well. Is he eligible?
It depends on the courses. I must say you always need a little bit of economics or business. Yeah? That's often the problem. But we don't look at the number of years you studied. We only look at the final score or degree and the courses you attended.
Okay. So yeah, in civil engineering, if you have studied some business, some economics, some technical related courses, Nikhil, then yes, I think you would have a fair chance. Just need to do the matchmaking in terms of the subjects. You can email your transcript to us and we will cross-check it and can let you know your chances that if you have those subjects, I think it is fair to assume that you have a good chance to apply. Okay, and then we have a question from Sarath. Is there regular career opportunity? Well, Come on, Sarath, yes, there are a lot of career opportunities for people who work in logistics and who work in
Yes, of
supply chain.
course.
It's no problem if you have a good grade, you have a consistency in your academic qualification, and on top of you have a German language. I don't see why you would not get a job in Germany in logistics. So it's quite
In
possible.
Germany, we have a shortage of high qualified people
Yeah.
on the labor market. So if you are good qualified afterwards, there shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But I think the major issue is language. So if you are going to Germany and you want to stay there for a job, you have to learn German. As Sumit already told you, it's very important.
Yeah. Okay. So Amit is asking, after this course, can I also work in shipping transport industry?
Yeah, why not?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, we don't offer specialization in shipping, but nonetheless, these are logistic problems usually very often. This should, and problem with data, so this should not be an issue.
Yeah. So Thami Rasan again asking, work experience in networking, and can he get a chance for transportation logistics? Transportation logistics with networking as a work experience? I think depends on academic background.
The work experience is not so important. Now, this is more a scientific oriented program in the end. So it's not like an MBA. This means you learn methods, you shall apply methods, and you shall be very, I would say, familiar with mathematics. And your work experience is fine because it gives you an additional background, and it will help you to work in addition to studying if you want. And you can also make your internship, I think, afterwards and get a good job. But for the program itself, it's not so important whether you had an internship or did work before.
Perfect. Another question from Sarath. Uh, are there any scholarship, professor, for Indian students for this program? Because there is no tuition fee, Sarath. So you actually study for free. It's just 300 euros per semester. So
There's
totally,
we don't offer scholarship. If you want to have it, you must go by yourself to a program by the DRD, for instance, or other sources.
So
I think our point is that we offer you the studying for free. It's almost like a scholarship.
Yeah. So there's an interesting question asked by Adit. He says transportation and infrastructure is highly dependent on government policies. So in what ways this program is useful, and is it globally recognized, and probability of job will be at what extent?
Okay, first it depends on your choice. You don't have to go into economics. You can go into logistics and data science. So this is field that is important for firms. And then we have a lot of firms who are interested also in economics, for instance, consulting firms or many large firms like the Deutsche Bahn, the German railway. They have a huge department where they only have economists inside.
And there are a lot of private companies who work closely with government on these transportation and infrastructure related projects. So in terms of when you talk about employment, I think there's a huge opportunity available for you and enter in any of these within these companies who are working closely, in transport, in infrastructure, and civil engineering, in logistics. Although there are part of government on a larger scale, but then there are a lot of private big companies, global companies who need people with experience like this to work with them and to make the project of the government possible. So there is no dearth of jobs, even though transportation infrastructure is largely government policy driven decisions anywhere in the world. Aniket is asking, he's a mechanical engineer with possibly no subjects in economics or business, um, but something in mathematics. Can he be eligible? Combination.
You need some
Yeah.
courses in economics or business administration.
Yeah. Aniket, if you
So
had,
it's
yeah.
it's a requirement. So I have seen that some of
people
the
have.
guys who asked me has attended additional courses with the idea to apply to this program. So that's possible. If you don't have these courses in your own bachelor, you can try to attend the courses at another place. But you need something, because otherwise we think it's too hard in the beginning, because we start not with zero, but we start already at a relatively high level in economics and business.
Yeah. So just to add on, Aniket, in your mechanical engineering, even if you had one or two subjects which is related to business, industrial management, project management, or anything with economics, I think this could be assessed further, and we can let you know the chances if you meet. Just share your transcripts. Purab, please put my email ID here for people who would like to share their transcripts and get their pre-evaluation for degree done. Whether they qualify, they can share their transcripts to us directly. Okay. Okay. Right. Last 5 minutes. More questions, please. Put in your questions. Anything in general, if you still would like now, like to know. Yeah, anything in studies in Germany now. I think you got a fair idea about studying opportunity for this Masters in Transportation Economics program. And now, whatever you would like to know in general, we open it for 5 minutes, and then you will be happy to answer. Okay, Adit is asking, bachelor's degree in commerce background, what is the scope?
Yeah, it depends on what you have, what your courses are. Yeah, I think it's usually enough if you have business administration management. Yeah. Commerce background is always okay.
Germany is safest country in studies. Yes, it is safe. It is of top quality, and careers are made. I'm a living example. If you want to look at it, I started 15 years back, and I don't regret. So yes. All right. So while you continue to pour in more questions, I'm going to quickly share my screen to take you through what we as EU Gateway provide and how we can help you to make your applications to this transportation economics program or any other program in Germany in general. I'll take another 5 minutes so that I'll take you through what all services we provide while you continue to put your questions, and we have our speakers still with us.
Krishnan, what is the appointment time?
Okay. So how EU Gateway can help you? We have different admission guidance package programs, be it a master's program, be it an undergrad program. If somebody is looking to go for an undergrad studies, we start pretty early at the school level, and there's a 2-year mentorship program which is available with us for a student to start early, to build their profile, to understand all the necessary components they need to have in order to apply successfully to a bachelor studies program in Germany or anywhere in Europe. This is another package. Then we have a PhD application package. So if you are serious about applying to PhD positions in Germany, either it's a paid PhD program or it's a non-paid PhD program, we assist you in coming closer to those PhD opportunities and help you through to apply. It's a year-long process for PhD application. You have to start very early, and then you've got to be patient in terms of receiving responses from a respective department or the university of your interest, whether they would like to take you as a student or not. But then how to approach that, what are the nitty-gritties involved, how you should prepare your application package and everything which is associated with it. We assist our students if they take up a PhD application program with us. Also, MBA application program package is available. So in case you want to go for an MBA program in Germany or in Europe, and then there's another set of entire topics which you need to deal with. It could be GMAT strategy preparation. It could be your statement of purposes. It could be your essays. It could be a part of the research which you need to write, or a project which you need to undertake. We assist you with all that so that you can apply to a dream university. You can apply to a program which you think will take you closer to your career goal. This is another package which you could look at. And then we also have a master's program admission guidance. So there is a famous saying, maybe Professor Hete will laugh at me when I talk about this, but then it is all right, because there has been cases where the students who have a borderline score which is like 68 or 67% or less than 2.5 GPA on a German grading scale, they also got admissions to German public universities, and we have a dedicated and defined package how we can assist you if your grades are low, how we assist you to apply to those public universities which would accept borderline cases, and how well you need to put your profile so that your chances of acceptance increases. So this is another topic which you could look at if you would like to take our services. And yes, now back to question and answers. This is all what I wanted to share with respect to our services. You can get in touch with any of our team member, with me directly. My email ID has already been put in, and you can even book your one-on-one call with us for further guidance in any of the area which you need to understand, and in order to make applications. Okay, I think we received the last couple of questions. What is the visa time in India for master's program in Germany? The current time is between, so the official time is between 4 to 12 weeks, PPP. And with the given pandemic situation, it might take even longer, because at the moment the appointments are frozen. It's not easy to get these appointments to apply, but then the only way is you keep on applying, you get the appointments, and then you move ahead. So probably from 12 weeks, it might extend to 16 or 20 weeks given the current situation. Okay. More questions?
Sir, I have a list of some generic questions. Can I share it?
Now it is ask anything. You can ask anything you would like to know. Ask relevant thing, but don't ask anything, because we will then become a Quora of answering your questions, which we unfortunately are not. Okay, thank you, Pura, for sharing this consolidated list of questions which you have prepared. I can quickly take them one by one. The one which has been answered is all right. One which we haven't, we will just talk about it. Sadat Ahmed want to know, sir, is journalism is a good choice to study in Germany? Professor Hete, would you like to answer this? Journalism studied by international student in Germany.
Yeah, I think it is, but the question is whether there's an English program. I don't know. Okay. I think you can learn a lot from the freedom in Germany concerning your speech and saying your opinions, and a lot on how to write. But I don't know whether you can get a program in English. I don't know.
Journalism program. So there is a lot of program available on communication side, communication and management, communication and design, but not on a pure journalism side. Haven't find anything. Or possibly
there are programs
program. Yeah.
For journalism, but not in English, I think.
No, not much in English.
Yeah.
The next is visa process we just talked about. How long can a student stay back? Rahul, a student is allowed to stay back 18 months after their study is completed in Germany. They are allowed to stay and work for 18 months. And if they
I
get
can say something to that.
Yeah.
Most of our students have a job already when they finish the master, because we have this internship before, so you can already get to know to a firm, or many of them work during their studying. And even those that start to apply at the end, it takes them 2 or 3 months until they have a good job.
Steve,
So
excellent.
this 18 months is not an issue, I think. I'm quite sure.
Excellent. So Sudarshan want to know what extra qualifications are required to get scholarship for Masters in Engineering program. I think Sudarshan, it is very program and university specific. Generally speaking, if you are good in academics and professional with a good GRE score, then at a public university you will study free of cost. And then if the public university is offering some additional scholarship tied up with some foundation, then we need to check. And then and if your academics are excellent, then you can apply for those scholarship. These are partial scholarships covering basic funding for your accommodation and living cost. So it is possible, but then at a very different and research level, which you need to find, and specific to universities. KM is asking, so I'm going to hold on for last 1 minute and answer these 3 questions. How much time does the visa process take? I already answered that, KM. It is currently 3 to 4 months is the time visa is taking at the moment because of the lockdown and pandemic situation. Rahul, is it mandatory for a student to have 13 years of education before applying for UG? Yes, 13 years of education is mandatory for all the students who come from CBSE, ICSE, and state board background. However, if your kid is coming from IB background or A levels background, then there is no need for 13th mandatory year. You can apply directly. But for all other boards, you need to have a mandatory extra year. We call it a foundation or a student colleague, which a student need to do in Germany. Or you can also do one additional year in one additional university year after 12th in India, and then come to Germany for bachelor studies. Okay, Nikhil Nayak, what are the options for students to stay legally in Germany after their post-study visa expires? I don't think so, Nikhil. After your 18 months and no job in hand, you can stay legally. I think you need to come back. The other idea is apply for another studies, enroll for another program, and continue to study further, and then you can stay back legally.
Sumit, can I help you? Hi, Sumit.
Yes, hi.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I heard recently of my friend who is studying in Germany. What he told was that, again, I may be wrong. What he told was that even if you get a job which is not in line with our graduation, like even if we get a job in, let's say, KFC or McDonald's, still they will be eligible for work visa. That is, after 18 months, still they will get that visa even if they get a unskilled job. So is it true or?
I can answer that, but I would like Professor Hitt to answer this question. Professor, maybe if you can.
I don't know exactly what about the working visa, but I think you must earn a specific amount of money. If you earn more than this threshold, you get a working visa, otherwise not. And I think McDonald's is below that threshold.
So Nikhil, yes, the one side is yes, there is a consistency which has been checked. If you are an engineer and you do not find a job in your field, but you start working at a restaurant, at McDonald's as a manager, which obviously would not pay you the threshold salary, which has been defined by the government as a master of engineer student should get, then yes, there would be a difficulty for your prolongation of the visa, regardless if you have a job at McDonald's. There would be a difficulty after 18 months for a study, for a work visa. You need to earn a minimum threshold salary in order to have your work visa, available.
Yeah. Thank you. And one more thing, last one more thing. Irrespective of whether I studied in Germany or not, Germany I think offers 6 month job search visa.
Mhm.
So if I have studied there and 18 months, if I've taken my visa and I've expired my 18 months, can I come back to India and again apply for 6 month job search visa?
Yes, absolutely. You can do that. There's no problem. You can do that, but then you got to pace it at a distance. You can't immediately come back and then apply for job search visa. Probably 3 months or 6 months duration, you will reapply for the job search.
Yeah.
You can, but then you got to match yourself through that. 18 months was difficult to get. Again, you want to come back for 6 months, and then again, if the scenario is the same, then either you come back with added skills, upgraded skills, so that your chances to get a job this time becomes high. Or otherwise, if you come with the same qualifications back again, then you already have seen and experienced those 18 months. It might be a possibility that you are met with disappointment again, even on those 6 month job search visa.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's
I have seen another question
okay.
we didn't answer now. This was the question whether you have to work in Germany after studying in Germany. That's not the case. You can go wherever you want afterwards.
Yeah, wherever you find the job, go and work there. It's no problem to go to stay continue in Germany.
And last one more question, Sumit. Sorry for interrupting. The thing is that can we complete? I mean, most of the courses are 2 years in Germany, right? Can we complete them in 1.5 years or 1 year? Because in some countries they offer that.
I think yes. Some universities offer fast track courses where instead of 2 years, you can finish it in 18 months or 15 months. But then it is an additional load on you in terms of finishing those required credits within the semesters, and also completing your master thesis, because that is the key to get your degree in Germany. Private university, most of them has it. I think maybe Professor Hitte would tell us more on public university if they can fast pace their study.
I don't know these programs.
Okay.
We don't have it, but we offer you that you can stay away for 1 year almost.
Yeah, well, that is an excellent choice. So in generally for this transportation economics program, you are only spending a year at the campus, and then you are free to do your internship, vocational training anywhere in the world, and just come back and submit your thesis and everything, and you are graduate, you get your degree. So in short, it becomes a 1 year on-campus program. A lot of people.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thanks.
thanks, Nikhil. Okay, work experience of 1 year. Can I get admin job? Yes, Surya with 69%. You are at the borderline, 2.6, 2.5, 2.6. Yes, it is still possible for you to get into public universities in Germany. It just has to be a consistent application and the study which you are applying to. Then it is possible. All right, I think, thank you, everyone. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Professor Hitte. Thank you, Professor Garike, for your time and session today. I think it has been really, really informative this time. A lot of students got a better understanding about transportation economics masters, urban mobility, and the research happening around it. And just to summarize, friends who are still with us, the last date to apply is 31st of May. Drop in your CV and transcripts for those who are seriously looking to apply. There's an excellent chance that you get it. People from Mint and commerce and economics background should definitely take a chance. The application is via Uni Assist. We are assisting students via Uni Assist application. It's not a big issue, but we guide you through with every step. Drop in your our CV and transcripts, and we will come back to you within 24 hours, letting you know that you are eligible to apply to this particular program. And then you still have 3 weeks to make an application. The deadline closes 31st of May. You will get the answer on your application by 15th of July. I think this is very, very positive from Professor Hitte, because a lot of students were still worried that if it comes around the end of August, then it's too late. So 15th of July is definitely a relief. A lot of students who are applying, they will get the answer, and by that time you will have your visa dates around. So yes, you have a great chance to start in Germany in October itself in 2021. And I will invite you to apply for this program, and feel free to ask any questions after this webinar on a personal email, and we would be very happy to address them. Closing note, Professor Hete?
No, it was a great pleasure for me to be here with you, and I really happy that you are interested and you do ask a lot of questions, and I hope I could answer most of these. Yes, and it would be great if you are interested and apply. If you have further question, ask Sumit or me. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Hete, and we look forward to see you next week again. And thank you,
Okay.
and have a great evening and a weekend. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. So for those who are still there, I'm putting my email ID for your profile evaluation for this particular program, or for any other program. If you want to get that evaluated, just drop in your CV along with your transcripts or mark sheets, and we would be happy to assess them, and also to give you the answer of how you can take this forward. Okay, then. Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed this session. It's late evening now. Go back to wherever you are. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your Friday. And hope to listen from you again very soon. Bye-bye, and God bless you all.